Hello to the void, to anyone who's out there. Hello to the void, to anyone who's out there. Hello to the void. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Well, I'll have to fix that in just a second. All right, is that better? Testing. All right, sorry about that. That was a very silly reason to have technical difficulties. I accidentally left a window of mine open to my stream. Well, anyway, welcome to anyone who's out there in the void. Thank you for coming and watching, even if it's just for a bit or just lurking. Today we'll be continuing Mystic Quest, aka Final Fantasy the button mashing game, and I'm hoping to finish it tonight. If you have any questions, let me know. We have a number of commands that you can do to interact with chat. Most of them can be found in the description below. Let's get started. Yes, I'll take all your seats. Thank you. How you doing, Jim? It's not my first stream. I think I've streamed about 12 times. It's a bit hit and miss, but, but it's definitely not my first stream. So how are you doing today? Or should I say, how are you doing since your stream? Yes. If you're not affiliated, I believe it's 7 days or so. Though you might have Turbo, which I think it makes it 1 month. Yes. And that's why I dual stream everything to YouTube. Even though I don't use YouTube as a platform for actually reaching anyone, I do use it as a way to store all the videos. And I believe even YouTube has some limits. Yeah, it's not very hard at all. Um, there are some caveats because you do have to get a special plugin for OBS if that's what you use. But once you get everything set up, it's as easy as clicking an additional button every time you stream. All right. With that, I believe we have everything in the game. All right. Looks like we're going to have to blow up some skeletons. So, Jim, you didn't play very many games growing up, correct? Other than maybe some Battle Network and a few others? At least that's what I picked up from what you said on stream. Oh, really? I find it a little bit surprising that you found Battle Network a year and a half ago. For me, it's a game I played when I was really young. Well, not really young, 14 years old, so about 21 years ago. Though Mario and Animal Crossing, I've never played Animal Crossing, but I do think Mario's a good choice. I do enjoy some good Mario. Really? Uh, was that for the Wii? Unfortunately, I never played Galaxy because that was after I stopped playing a lot of video games. I know that we actually have the soundtrack for it, the disc that came with the game, somewhere back at my parents' house. Okay. Yeah, I think the only game I ever played on Wii was Twilight Princess. That and maybe a little bit of Smash Brothers. Though overall I didn't like the system, it was about the time I just stopped playing video games as often. So what's your favorite Mario game? Do you ever play more than Mario Galaxy? I mean, me being an old person, I really enjoyed playing Super Mario growing up. I'm a little bit surprised you like Subnautica. Not because of the crafting and whatnot, just because it's a little bit more on the horror side. But I actually also really like Minecraft. Well, you're right, it's not gruesome. At least not normally. But Minecraft is more my speed over something like non Subnautica myself. Uh, I just really enjoy being able to sit down and craft and build for a while. I also like the Mario Party games, though I haven't played those in a long time. We played a lot of that on GameCube growing up. So, who did you play Mario Party with? I know I would normally end up playing with my two younger brothers. Oh, that's cool. I like how you say exploration. Exploring was actually the original reason I like Minecraft. Though over time I definitely developed a love for just the building as well. So do you ever do larger projects or is it typically on the smaller end? Or maybe an even better question is, do you prefer doing technical stuff or just the building? Because I also enjoy Redstone. And that makes sense. I don't know if you can even do building on the larger end without building some automatic farms. It just takes a lot of time to gather resources for bigger anything. It took forever for me to just remove the mountain I had removed. What? Oh, I know what's going on. Oh, really? Yeah, it's not as my. I don't know if I would have a talent for doing something like that. I feel like that requires more aesthetic sense than what I have. Every once in a while, I can build something that's alright looking, but I don't think I normally make anything that looks nice. But I try. Well, since we're talking about Minecraft, do you ever plan on playing Minecraft on your channel? Oh, I bet you do. See, you Battle Network. I think you have a couple more crafting games too, don't you? Slime Rancher 1 and 2, and maybe. I'll be honest, I am definitely here for watching some Pokemon every once in a while. there's just something that is a lot of fun about watching people go through those games. So do you have a specific Pokemon in mind that you're thinking of? Because I'm certain you're not going to be interested in the ones I would play because I'm too old, so I end up with like Gen 1 and Gen 2. But most people, I believe, like Gen 4 and Gen 5. X and Y. I did see a lot of gameplay of those, and they did look like fun. But if you're looking at Pokemon, have you actually played Pokemon before, or what type of stuff am I into at the moment? I deal primarily in retro games just because it's kind of what I grew up on. Plus, I enjoy how would you say it? I actually enjoy things like turn-based combat and thinking through how you would. Some of these, not this one. This one is a very, um, how would you say it, stripped down game. But games like this, it's kind of a puzzle. If you haven't over leveled, you kind of have to determine what your options are and how to best move with the pieces you have. But there's actually a whole set. So if we're talking about streaming, I'm looking at this and a few action games, I believe, and various Super Nintendo ones, but Super Nintendo's a little bit less, how would you say it, specific. I would like to do Mega Man X soon, though. I'm into that. I would like to go through Mega Man X through Mega Man 4, maybe all the way up to Mega Man 6. Though, if you mean beyond games and whatnot, I also like running and whatnot. I also will occasionally go for runs. I like coffee. A whole bunch of small things. Okay. Well, I believe I know that Mega Man X was one of my first games I've ever played. It might even be the first Super Nintendo game I've ever played, making it the first video game I ever played. So it has a special place in my heart. Pokemon Yellow, I was actually at man, what would it have been called? It was an event for getting Mew at the time, and we traveled all the way to St. Louis, and it was the one of the premier events where Pokemon Yellow was released. So I actually got Pokemon Yellow at one of those events. Ah, yes, it was cool and it was a lot of fun. I was pretty young at the time. I'm surprised my Mother Took Us. It was kind of a cheeky request to the parents, not thinking they would actually do it. Mega Man games are a little bit odd. Most of the story in the majority of Mega Man games is actually told in the background. So you get, cause part of it's because of the type of, they're platforming games most of the time. So the only other Mega Man game that I can think of off the top of my head that is also an RPG is Mega Man Legends, which I think has a pretty good story. It's a little bit smaller than even the network games just because of when it was released. And it was supposed to have a third installment that never came. Mega Man X is more of a platformer. It has a decent story in my opinion, but most of the story you have to kind of pick out from context clues, read the game manual. Later on, they'll start having scenes, but the scenes are very limited in older game systems. It depends how you look at it. So Battle Network, you're following children, and they're doing their best to. I mean, they end up doing a lot. They basically save the world. When you're following Mega Man and Mega Man X, you're following a reluctant hero who is basically forced into combat by circumstances. And he really doesn't like hurting anything or anyone else. So in his story, you're kind of following someone who, if he was given an opportunity, he would not fight if he thought it was a real option. And it's actually a trait that is constantly holding him back because he doesn't actually want to hurt anything. It makes for a pretty good plot. I don't think it's what you're looking for though, because I think what you're actually looking for is something that is more explicit in the story, and so it's not something that's just you have to pick up here and there, but actually it's told as a story. Whereas Mega Man X, it's primarily a game for platforming, and then it also has some story elements to it if you're able to pick them up. You can. I think you might have more interest in something like Mario RPG. Um, and that's not exactly story heavy, but I do think that would be, if you're looking at an older game that is fun to play, has a lot of exploration in it, Mario RPG is a good one. Uh, Trying to think. I mean, a lot of good story games I don't normally think of as Super Nintendo games and games of that era. You typically get story games come PS1 and beyond. So PS2 era games, GameCube games, and whatnot are typically good places to look if you're wanting to expand your library, with games that are going to have a little bit more story in them. I wouldn't say they don't do stories well, but most Nintendo games do story and subcontext when they have it, and the rest of the time they're just dealing in gameplay. I mean, if we're talking like, depending on the type of stories you like, but if we're talking like raw story, I think Tales games are far more entertaining than most Nintendo games. And honestly, Tales games are arguably among my favorite games of all time. Um, I don't know about the newer Atelier games, but I know that the PS2 era Atelier games I really liked. I don't know if it would be down your alley, but they are a lot of fun in my opinion. Probably something you need to find out is, do you like more traditional RPGs or do you like ones that have different types of combat? Because that would tell you largely the kind of games you need to look into. Oh, I'm sure you will. It takes a moment to develop preferences in these things. I guess I'm just suffering here, aren't I? That went all the way around. Oh, don't tell me I have to. No, I don't. Good. Full set of all six About Network games. About 2 years ago, and a coworker was talking about how good it was. I was like, might as well play a Mega Man game and see what it's like, and so that's what happened with that. Just bought it for my PC recently so I can stream it later. Okay. I mean, it is a good time to buy it. I think it was 50% off last time I looked. Yeah, I've been considering buying the first half of it because I know I like 2 and 3. I'm not as convinced on the rest of them, but definitely like 2 and 3. Oh, 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 oh. I think I see where I went wrong. I'm trying to think. So I know I played 2 because out of the ones I played, I think 2 was the best. And I think 3 is when you go from styles to souls. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I would highly recommend that if you know you dislike a game, then just don't play it. There's no reason to play games you dislike. So did you figure out a um, for I know for Mega Man 2 it was styles, but you know the forms. There a particular form that you like Mega Man to have? You forgot? Um, I mean, if you're there primarily for the story, I'm not that surprised. I know for me, I liked the shield style and the bug style. Okay, and that there. No way to get over there. Am I just dumb today? I figured this out as a child. I know it's not to the left, which means it has to be to the right. Ah, yeah, and the first one's also a little bit slower paced overall, from my understanding. Again, it's been a while since I played it. So it may actually be a little bit more challenging overall. So did you ever go out of your way to beat base as many times, all three times? Okay, I understand that. Honestly, the in-game stuff is a lot harder. I do think it does help you understand some of the story, but ironically, it's back to context stuff again when you're dealing with the in-game stuff, the in-game content. Is there a particular genre you like fantasy, sci-fi, or is it just, or does it boil down to more if it has a good story or good crafting and building? Because I know for me, I mean, I like both sci-fi and fantasy, but there are certain mixes I like more than others. I like having a high fantasy. Is that the right word though? I it's probably high sci-fi with mid fantasy is what I most like. Oh, okay. You just so you won't do any fantasy at all? Hmm. If it's not your thing, or if you have another reason, it makes sense. Not really Metroid games. I Are you thinking Metroid Prime or a different one? Because when I think of Metroid games, I always default back to Super Metroid, which is slightly different than Metroid Prime. Okay. I've never actually seen Metroid Prime played all the way through before. I think I've only seen small ti tidbits here and there. So if you ever get around to playing that, that's definitely one thing I'm interested in watching. So do you play any, or rather than you play, do you plan on playing anything in the horror genre at all? I'm just curious because when you say Metroid, sometimes there's a little bit of overlap between the two. Don't do that. Ah, that was rude. Okay. Is there a reason for that? Beyond just not liking them? Okay. I was wondering if there was a belief system behind it. But I understand not wanting nightmares. Also understand having beliefs that run counter to it. Okay, actually, that faster. Oh, I appreciate it, Jim. Please come by again sometime. It's fun talking to you as well. I'll also catch you at your next stream. Jaybird, Phoebe, Knights of Light. We crystals now entrust you with our power. Okay, arrows. Potions, heal potions. And no more seeds. Dark King, we meet at last. Indeed, and now you will serve me. I don't think so. We won't allow you to ruin our world. Alas, silly humans, I must share a terrible secret. That prophecy, age ago I started that rumor. Welcome to the power of darkness. Hmm. Do I cheese you or do I just end it? You know, I think I'll avoid cheesing on the first round. How amusing. Is that all you can muster? Actually, mirror sword. Oh, Phoebe, your time would be better spent curing us. Grr. Now see what I really am. Why are you a spider? Just unironically, why are you a spider? Mega Flare. And thus the evil king has been defeated. Oh, Dark King. Ah, yes, yes, we defeated the Dark King. At last it's all over. Disguised as a human, I, the Crystal of Light, have guided you. Evil can't thrive if you keep hope alive. Use your courage and respect your world. A bright future awaits you. Now, go and enjoy all the world has to offer. Thank you. Jaybird, you say the Dark King was the problem, and you beat him? But of course, say, what become of Reuben and Captain Mac? They're fine. They're already headed home. Great. Sometime I'll drop by and say hi. You're safe. What are you going to do now? Hey, maybe you can answer that. Mac, how about lending me that ship? I need a little bit more adventure in my life. Don't worry, Kaylee. Alright, but let me see if it's still seaworthy. Don't forget your cap again. Spencer, you still digging? Yep, all because of you guys. Anybody see Tristram? That jerk? He's gone treasure hunting again. Tell him I said hi. How's it going? Reuben, couldn't be better. Why don't you hang out in this town? No way, I'm off for more adventure in Captain Mac's ship. At least let me see you off. The ship's better than new. Thanks, Mac. 3 cheers for Captain Jaybird. Wait until you see my next invention. Can you come over again? Have a good trip. Do it while you're still young. I think I've had all the adventure I can stand. How about taking me along? You'll need an expert treasure hunter. You don't know what you're saying, Grandpa. You'll be back in no time. See the world for me. We're going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Farewell. What are you doing here? I can't resist it when I hear about an adventure. I'm going to keep an eye on you, kid. That's Jaybird, you nut. Ah, Ted Woosley. I wonder if you did direct translations or if this is just you having fun. So what are my thoughts on this game? It's a bit long in some areas, and there's a lot that isn't great, but it does have a little bit of something special to it because some of the dialogue is funny and short and silly because it's not intended to be a story that there's much to glean from. The battle system actually isn't bad. It's a little bit button mash heavy because a lot of the nuance has been stripped out. But even with the limited character development and everything else involved, it is a fun game, and there's a lot to love about it. There's a lot of love about the characters too. You just have to kind of glean what their you have to glean their character from what is not said and more what's shown. Which, I mean, if you do that, you probably come off with why do they keep on abandoning the hero? And this is a Super Nintendo game, so it doesn't go back to the title screen. And there we have it. That is the end of the second game. It was a little bit underwhelming. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more fun, but I did enjoy it. Thank you for anyone who's out there, and I hope you're having a good night. It's just a short stream tonight because I don't have anything lined up for after this game. So, speaking out to the void, I hope you all have a good night. Thank you, Jim, even though you have already left. Special thanks to Inky and Tonberry for keeping me company for half of this game. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Alright, it's going to be Jaybird signing off. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I don't really have anyone to raid into, so we'll call it here. Good night.